Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all today? It's day one. It's finally here. We're gonna talk about some football this morning. Going across the pond this morning. These guys have already midday here over there, and I'm just gonna bring them all in, and we're gonna start fresh from there. Let's do it. First, we're gonna bring in Nate. Just did a dynasty draft with him. How are you this morning, sir?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on. How's it going?
Good. Just ready to start this season.
Oh, mate, can't wait.
I never did a dynasty draft before, so it was a little different to me. I never did one.
It's my second or third dynasty draft this season, let alone ever. But it was by far my best one. I've my position rankings for most areas is first or second, so I'm pretty much sorted there.
Yeah, I shared my buddy at work, and he's like, "You drafted a lot of old guys." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I thought you were supposed to. I never did one. I didn't even know how to draft."
Yeah.
So I did get a couple young guys, but he's like, "You got a lot of older guys. It could be a long year for you." So
yeah.
But you live, you learn, right?
Exactly. You'll be better placed for the next draft.
All right. Well, thank you, Nate, for joining us this morning. Hopefully hopefully we can get the ball rolling. Next, we're gonna bring in Anthony. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, really good, thank you. Thanks for having me on today. Looking forward to this first day of the NFL season. Always a welcome relief after an off season that seems to last forever and a day.
Are you guys? I guess I would just wait. I was gonna say it because it's already 1:15 there. So So what's going on with you, Nate? You doing good? You ready for this Aiden Hutchinson season or what? I mean, Anthony. Jesus.
Yeah. No. It's all right. No, we're ready. We saw flashes towards the end of last season of what this team is becoming. We've had a really good draft. Off season's been pretty good. A few issues we're still working out here and there, but yeah, we're excited. There's a lot of good young players on this team, and we're looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Sweet. Next, we're gonna bring in the Jets guy. What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, what's up? All good.
Good talking to you again.
Yeah, you too. I feel like it was ages ago we were on, but it wasn't. It was only like a couple of weeks. It's just right. The last couple of weeks up to the season, man, they dragged on.
Everything gets thrown together. You had some late breaking news yesterday, I guess. The NFL got another day one ex-quarterback going up against his former team.
Yeah, I feel like it's been in the stars, hasn't it? I mean, we got Flacco, we got Baker, we got Russ. I mean, it's going to be quite good.
Well, just hope Zach Wilson gets better, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's looking good, looking promising.
All right. Next, we're going to bring in our 49ers gentleman, Mr. Paul Hope. How are you this morning, sir?
Not so bad.
Not
too
bad.
Gents. Great to join you all. And like Anthony said, opening day of the season. Man, it's been a long off season, but we have football, gentlemen. No more gossip. We can talk football. I'm excited and it's great to join you guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to talk Rams, right?
Well,
because they do play tonight against the Bills. It's gonna be a nice kickoff, I guess.
Guess who I'm rooting for tonight, then, will you?
No, will you guys be up for it tonight? Are you guys staying awake for it, doing any partying? Yeah. I know it will be almost midnight when this thing kicks off in your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, we'll be up for this. I am anyhow. It's only a few months a year when it happens, so don't need sleep don't need sleep till January.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be staying up watching. Not a massive fan of Buffalo or the Rams, so I'm just hoping for a bit of a slugfest. I'm talking like 30, 35, 32. Be beautiful.
Yeah, I won't be staying up for me and obviously the Gangrene UK and the 49 FFL UK. We've got meetups this weekend in Leeds, so I've got a lot of preparation for that. The great thing with Game Pass is when I wake up in the morning before the kids go to school and I start work, I can watch the game in 40. And like Nate said, if it's a shootout, that'll be epic. But I do stay up for the 49er games. Never miss a 49er game. But when it's a Thursday night and it's other teams, I can catch them back the next morning because I'm not bothered about the scores. I just have to remember to set my fantasy teams before I go to bed tonight.
Yeah, I've just set my alarms. Just reminding me.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one tonight. I mean, on paper it should be amazing, but I don't like either team. I think both of them are vastly overrated. I think the Rams team, they've been building up, but let's face it, they bought the Super Bowl. They like with OBJ being added and things like that. It's just, yeah, I'm not all about them. Like, they haven't particularly drafted amazingly well. And then you've got the Bills, who I say it every time, Josh Allen hasn't done enough yet to be classed as a top 3 quarterback.
I think a lot of people are blinded by that Chiefs game last year, aren't they? The Chiefs-Bills playoff game was awesome. Can't take anything away as a neutral, but I think the Bills are going in as a lot of people's favourites, and I don't think that'll end how they hope it'll be, for me personally.
Hey, Paul, just to let you know, the faithful are showing up here this morning already.
So that was good to see.
In the comment box, obviously Gina's part of the production company, so a lot of her Niner fans are on here. I was hoping she would have got up this morning, but it is only 5:30 there. So,
and it was her birthday yesterday, so obviously
yes, it was her birthday.
So she got a shout out from George Kittle and the 49ers on social media. So Gina will have been buzzing with that, Adam.
Yeah, I retweeted that a couple times. I sent her a text and I go, well, I'm not as big as the birthday shout out you already got, but happy birthday. That's still big whenever you get a player to tell you happy birthday and everything else. So, yeah, pretty excited about that one for sure. So what are your guys' full team's expectations now that the preseason's over and everyone's had a chance to kind of see their team for the last week and a half? Anthony, we'll start with you because obviously everyone hopes that you're on the biggest upside after the debacles over the last couple years. Aiden Hutchinson, big draft pick, hometown kid. I'm really excited. I also saw that this was the first home opener sold out for a long time, standing room only. Detroit must be pretty pumped up.
Yeah, I think there's a growing sense of expectation here at the minute. We finally have a coach who kind of gets the team, gets the city, gets the situation that it's in. And most importantly, we have a GM who's competent at his job. He's actually really good at his job. This all starts with an organization. It all starts from the top down. Ownership changed. Everyone bashes on the Fords for what they've done to Detroit, etc., etc. But the new one, she understands what it requires here. A lot of ex-players have come back in. They're now in the front office. You've got Chris Spielman in there. Obviously, brought like Barry Sanders and that into the organization. These are guys who care about the franchise and care about it doing much better. And you can see that trickling down. And in Dan Campbell, we have a head coach who a lot of people, they bash, they say he's a meathead, they say he's all sorts of things, but he's actually really clever at what he does. And as I say, he inspires the players around him. There is 100% buy-in in this team. There was last year after the first year. You saw even if after we went 0-9-1 to start with, the players were still fighting. They did not give up. We ended the season really well. We beat 2 teams chasing the playoffs, one of them who made it, and when we had nothing to play for, it was indicative of the culture that he's installed here with us. It's great. I don't know whether any of you have been watching Hard Knocks or not, but that's something he's really emphasizing here. You don't have to be the biggest player, you don't have to be the best player, but you've got to work a bit harder, you've got to train a bit harder, you've got to just do everything you can to give yourself that competitive advantage going forward. And it's seen with the players that they've brought in here, the players that they've retained, the players that they draft. You can see a mentality in these guys. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, broke out towards the second half of last year. But we even before, when he wasn't playing well, this is a guy who trains something fierce. You know, he does 202 catches on the jugs machine every training session. He's always out there late. It's never good enough what level he reaches. He's always striving to do better. The same with Penei Sewell, always striving to be better. He had a really good year after an iffy start, but he still wants to get better. He has that mentality, and that's what we've lacked for a very long time. And you sort of see the culmination where you've got a lot of these young, hungry players coming in. We've got a decent core of older players who've been in the league a while, who are good at their positions. And yeah, preseason was a little bit of everything we got there, but the expectations is that this team is going to do a lot better this year. And you saw it on the pitch towards the end of last year. We can take on teams who are supposedly better than us and beat them. If you underestimate us, if you come in with the wrong attitude, you're going to lose. So, the expectations for this season, they're varied around, because we're not under any illusions. It's the second year of a rebuild. We were left in a situation which was completely horrific by Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. But the expectation is we're going to start winning more games this year. For me, it's possibly going to be 7 or 8. Our schedule is a lot nicer than it was last year. We're playing a lot of these teams around us in similar sort of situations. We're playing the Jaguars, the Panthers, both New York sides, the Giants, the Jets, although I really like what the Jets are doing. And the Bears in our division, they're completely awful at the moment. So they've kind of got to start cashing some checks now. They've been writing some pretty big ones with them as they've got to go out onto the pitch and they're going to start winning some of these games to prove that they're legitimate. But from what we've seen, I think it's real. Like you say, the fans, they're packing out the stadiums. Even a lot of the doubters who are not sure about this have bought in. The fans, for the most part, are behind this new regime. Detroit is first time in a long time standing together. So I think we're going to surprise a lot of people this year. And I think that 7 or 8 wins is realistic. And I think next year we will be pushing to get in the playoffs and the wild card. We're on the right trajectory with these two.
So you're confident with Jared Goff?
I am, yeah. I mean, I know he's never going to be the best quarterback in the world. His ceiling's probably somewhere in the mid-teens or whatever. But at the end of the day, what people don't give him credit for, he's experienced. He's been into the postseason before. And everyone says it's on Sean McVay, it's on his run game, etc. But you still don't get there if you don't have some talent around you. And last year, I mean, we were expecting a slow start last year. He was discarded by the Rams. They basically blamed him for all their problems. He was thrown under the bus. He was shipped out here to Detroit, which is considered to be the back end of nowhere, the place where players go to finish their careers and die and whatever, and all that. And the fan base didn't really want him. And you can see the confidence he was shot. And it's taken a lot to rebuild him up. But you saw as the season went on, they didn't replace him. They kept him in games. They said, look, we know you're not playing the best. Dan Campbell did have a big go at him towards the, middle half of the season. And he kind of seemed to respond to that. And this year they've gone out, they've backed him again. A lot of people said we're going to quarterback in the draft. It was never on the cards. It was never going to happen. They've put the weapons around him. We've got one of the best offensive lines in the league. I fully believe that. We're going to be able to protect him. We've invested in the run game. So I think, yes, all it needs is for him to be middle of the pack, because our offensive line is going to open up the run game something fierce. It's really good. And then he can do his damage there. And we've given him the weapons. Don't forget, he had no weapons last year. We lost Terrell Williams to a concussion at the start of the season. We cut Rashad Perriman because he was rubbish. We were left, with Amon-Ra, who was a rookie, and we had a lot of sort of wide receiver 4s and 5s knocking around. Yet he was still able to get it done towards the end of the season when the team was ravaged with injuries. So I believe in him. I see the confidence this year. Everyone, even his doubters, and there's quite a few amongst us even here in the UK, even they've said he's looking a lot better. So I believe in him to do a good job for us this year.
Okay. All right. Nate, speaking of quarterbacks, you finally got one that can throw one deep for you guys.
Well,
how exciting is that in the Colts world?
Well, I think we have to accept that Carson Wentz can throw them deep. Problem is when he throws them into triple coverage when there are checkdowns available, in 20 yards of space. That costs plays like that cost the Colts 3 games last year, which is the difference between not only them not making the playoffs and making the playoffs, but potentially beating the Titans to not only the division but potentially the number 1 seed as well. So Matt Ryan. I've never been a massive fan of Matt Ryan.
Matty Ice, baby.
But if that's the way we're going, that's the way we're going. I'm gonna hope for the best and hope he proves me wrong. Oh God, yeah. I
think it's gonna open up the run game more for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully. I don't know that he's got the arm anymore, Matty Ice. I think that's the big problem. But you don't need the arm when you've got the likes of JT.
Pittman,
we've got some crazy fast wideouts. People say it's a weak position in Indy, and it has been for a number of years. To be completely honest, T.Y. Hilton's not been the player that he was for the past 3 or 4 years.
He's not even signed, is he?
No. He's not got a team at the moment. But I think Michael Pittman he's been in the league a few years now, but I still think there's more to come from him. You get the right quarterback behind him, and I really think you're going to see him pop. I really like the prospect of Alec Pierce, the wide receiver we drafted. He looks like an absolute monster. I mean, I know everything you see and hear from training camp you have to take with, I mean, not a pinch of salt, but like a whole bucket full of salt, right? But so seeing someone like the contested catches against proper dudes, proper players, and him just like shrugging them off and grabbing it out of the air is a great sign. And I really want it to work for Paris Campbell. Like, the dude's had 3 seasons in the league, and everyone has finished. Every season has been ended by week 4, and it's been season-ending injuries. So it's so unlucky. I think we're in a good position with the offensive line. It should be better this season. It looks like Quentin Nelson isn't going to be playing hurt all year, which is the difference between you being top 10 offensive line and potentially being top 2 or 3 defensive line. That's how good Quentin Nelson is. When he's on song, no one is pushing past him. Absolutely no one. He just about held up against Aaron Donald last season, playing injured. I'm not going to say Donald didn't get the better of him a few times, but he also knocked Donald on his ass a few times too. So, he's an absolute star. And obviously, you've got Jonathan Taylor, who we've got a new king. Derrick Henry's old and he's done. He ain't going to do nothing in that dreadful Titans team this season. I might be going a bit homer here, but never mind. I also really like the prospect of Nyheim Hines, not only from the backfield but also from the slot this year. Frank Reich has said a number of times this offseason that he didn't use him enough last year, and we should expect to see him more. I hope that's not smoke and mirrors, because I think if Hines is used and plays to his full potential, the Colts could have the best 1-2 in the league in running backs. The guy is so explosive. He hasn't got the physicality that Taylor has, but he's elusive and he is so fast. And then we should see an improvement on the defensive line, which was a big problem, particularly in the pass rush game last year, having added Yannick Ngakoue to the line. We need to see a big step up from Kwity Paye in his second year on the other end of the line, but we've still got the likes of I think good solid guys like Grover Stewart, even Tyquan Lewis. I think it's a good sort of backup piece to have. And then there's also another second year player in Dayo Adangbo, who I think again, if he pushes on the way the staff seem to think he might, he could be fighting for that starting job there. Obviously, then DeForest Buckner is a great player, as Paul well knows. And then I mean, how many stars have I still got to mention on defense? I think Bobby Okereke is an outstanding linebacker. Obviously, you got Shaq Leonard, who is going to punch the ball out of anybody's hand. You just don't go near him, boys. It's a waste of time. You go near him, you're going to fumble it. I think we've got some great backup features there. EJ Speed is a great player. You've got Zaire Franklin, who is, I think he's criminally underrated. Had a great season last year. Got a couple of really good safeties. Nick Cross, who is going to be potentially one of the standout defensive players of the year. I think no one's talking about him because obviously he's not as flash as some of the other guys that were drafted high. But I think we need to look out for him because he's going to be an absolute stud. And then Julian Blackman. Basically ran a secondary last year up until his injury and in his rookie year. And then he went out with a season-ending injury and the Colts got hurt deep a lot once he left. And then, again, I haven't even mentioned Kenny Moore, Stephen Gilmore, or Isaiah Rodgers, who is stepping up to replace Rock Ya-Sin, who was traded to the Raiders for Yannick Ngakoue. I think as cornerbacks go, those are three outrageous quarterbacks. Kenny Moore might just about be the most underrated player in the game at the moment. Like some of the picks he makes for a guy of his size, just sensational. I think we've got a big season coming. I think.
Well, that was my next question, I guess, real quick before we jump to Anthony and Paul. But for the AFC, do you feel that the Jets and the Colts need to win the division because the AFC West, everyone talks about them having 3 teams possibly making the playoffs? Is it win the division and bust, or is there still an outside chance? I know there's still a chance because it's everyone's 0-0, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think the AFC West is crazy strong, and they do have favourable sort of pairings with the teams they've got to go against in other divisions this year, but they're also going to be taking wins off of each other. I'd be very surprised if the Broncos, potentially the Raiders and the Chiefs don't go to like 1-1 against each other. I think you're probably going to find most of those are going to be split. Maybe the Raiders might not split with the Broncos. I think they've got a better chance of splitting with the Chiefs. So I know it doesn't affect the record that much, but I think they're going to be. I think you could see. I think it wouldn't be surprised if any 2 of them make it. But the Colts are going to win the AFC South. The Titans are done this year. They've got no wideouts worth talking about. They've got Bobby Trees, who's coming off of a cruciate ligament, which is just an awful injury to come back to. It's not that he can't do it again. He may well, but that's all he's got. That's all they've got to target. I just think the Titans finish second in the division, obviously, but they're not going to make the playoffs.
All right. Before we jump to Anth's answer real quick, Paul, I know you have to jump over with Let's Talk Sports. Real quick, can you break down your Niners real quick after the offseason? I guess the whole Jimmy Garoppolo signing had to be awkward for every Niner fan in the world. Real quick, can you break it down?
Yeah, I mean, how long have I got? Like you said, I am at work this afternoon. Jimmy Garoppolo coming back wasn't great. I think the 49ers were going to be a run-heavy team. We've got one of the best defenses in the league. Obviously, we fell short against the Rams last year in the NFC Championship game, hence why we've made the move to Trey. Jimmy couldn't quite get it done. I love the optimism from all the guys. I'm going to jump around the room. Anthony, Hard Knocks has sucked me in. I've got a couple of mates who are Lions fans. I've been watching Hard Knocks every week. I agree with Nate. I don't think Matty Ice has the arm anymore, but I think he's an upgrade on Wentz. That said, Wentz did pull our pants down, Nate, in the rain last year, and it was one of my worst 49er games that I've had the displeasure of watching.
He was sensational in that typhoon.
Yeah, he looked everything like he was at the Eagles. But for me, Adam, this year, I just want to see what Trey Lance can do. There's a lot of talk about Super Bowl or bust. I'm not buying into that. We're not the Rams. We've got a great roster. We've drafted well. We've got a good culture in the locker room. We've got massive pieces on the offense. There's obviously question marks on the offensive line, which I'm sure the gents on here will be pointing out. I know that as a 49ers fan, we've got Trent Williams, who's possibly the best left tackle the game has got at the moment. But outside of Trent, there's a lot of question marks on there. So we are nervous about that. We've got question marks in the secondary, especially with Jimmy Ward being injured. But boy, oh boy, our front seven. I'm sure there's not many teams in the league who are going to look forward to seeing Nick Bosa, Kinlaw, Armstead, Drake Jackson is looking every piece the pass rusher we wanted him to be when we drafted him at 61. For the UK gents, you're probably aware our president picked Samuel Womack, as in he went on the stage in Vegas and announced pick 172. From that moment, Adam, Samuel Womack was our boy. We've already got people wearing the 26 jersey, so we've got high hopes for him and the nickel cornerback. I'm excited for the season. I have already predicted that we'll win the Super Bowl because I do that every year. I'm sure everyone around here might chuckle at that, but obviously it's been great to jump on and touch base for you guys. I'm sorry I can't stay much longer. I do have to do another show. And obviously, Adam, I'm sure I'll jump on with you at some point. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I know Gina would like to have you on one of her shows one day in the future too. I know the timing is not going to be easy for both of you.
Well, I'll try. I mean, before I jump off again, I ruptured my Achilles tendon in January on the NFC Championship game on the morning. So that day was hell on earth for me because not only did I suffer that injury at 41 years of age, the bloody Rams beat us in the NFC Championship game. But fast forward to now, I'm back at flag football. I'm back on my feet. I'm back at work. The NFL season's here. I've got my Game Pass loaded up. And I'm sure I will catch all you guys.
I'm sure the podcasting world does not like you being back at work, Paul.
No, it does not. It does not. And neither does Twitter. My Twitter usage went through the roof. But Gangrene UK, I'll hit you up in DMs. I'm sure we'll meet up in Leeds. And Nate and Anthony, I'll catch you guys on Twitter.
If you could just do us a quick favour and sack Justin Fields like 20 times on the weekend just to keep those insufferable Bears fans in check because they think they're going to win the Super Bowl with him.
Well, so, Jason Aponte, who's one of the better content creators before I jump off, he had a show the other night, Adam, and a Bears fan came on. And I thought he was going to be like you guys, going to be quite respectful, talk about the team. And he came on, Anthony, and I thought the Bears have got the best roster in the NFL the way he was talking. And he was really trash talking Jason. And I was like, is he that deluded to think the Bears are this good? I like Justin Fields. I think he's a good quarterback, but they haven't got many weapons. But don't worry, we'll beat them on Sunday for you, Anthony.
I appreciate that.
All right, catch you later, guys.
All right, Paul. Have a good one, man. Thanks for coming. All right, guys. That was Paul. He's been on my show a couple times, so always good to have him on there. Like you said, it's always difficult getting the times down with you guys, but I try to do 8:15 because that way it's 1:15 your side. Anyway, back to the question. Anthony, you really didn't get a chance to answer it. What do you feel that's going to happen in the AFC?
AFC this year is just like, I might as well just get a crystal ball out and have a guess because I love coming on with other teams because obviously they look at their team a whole lot more than what I do. I can totally get behind Anthony. Nate, unfortunately, the Colts are like, I hate the Colts more than I hate the Patriots, and it's irrational. I don't know why. It goes back a long time, but I can't disagree with you that the Titans are done. And you're in a really weak division, so you probably will win it, but I won't be happy about it.
Well, see, with your hatred, what would you say the Colts' floor is this season on their records?
Now, I think they're going to put too much on Taylor.
Right.
And it's going to become a bit one-dimensional, and you're going to become almost like the Titans, where if we can stop Taylor and stuff the run against the Colts, I think you're going to struggle everywhere else. I do agree you've got an absolute solid O-line. Defensively, I honestly don't know enough. Yeah. But just off what, like, looking at the league and what, like the games that I do watch, I'm not scared of the defense. Where there's some teams where I'm like, don't really want to play their defense.
Yeah.
Like Paul said about the 49ers, automatically you go, yeah, we've got some people running at us. But yeah, I feel like yous will take your division. Then that West division's a bit all over.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with what Paul said. I think there is 3 teams that essentially could make the playoffs, but they are going to beat each other, and all it'll take is one team losing to 2, and then all of a sudden they're not making it.
Yeah,
because they will lose a couple of other games. Then obviously the Adams division with it's an interesting one because a lot of people are kind of predicting Pittsburgh not to have a great year.
No.
And then you've got the Bengals, who are going to be on a Super Bowl hangover, who I think could have a year like the Rams the year after they went to the Super Bowl, where they weren't great. They have had a few changes. Then you've got the Ravens, where when it all comes down to it, it's all down to tomorrow. And it all depends on what happens with Lamar. He's put a deadline on his new contract at tomorrow. If he doesn't get his new contract and it's not signed, there is a chance that he'll go, right, I'm not playing. Then all of a sudden that changes the dynamic for the first 3-4 weeks. Then our division, I have my hot take, which nobody agrees with. Which I think the Bills will come second in the division. I don't think they'll win it.
What?
I think they are slightly overrated. They aren't unbeatable, and people seem to be talking about them like they're unbeatable. Teams, when they've beaten them, they have beaten them, and they've shown weakness. And I don't like Josh Allen. If Josh Allen came to the Colts, it would make like the ultimate dark team. But it's one of those where I think the Dolphins aren't getting as much hype as what they should be. But then again, it's all dependent on Tua. I think the Jets, although we're playing Flacco, it all lies on Zach. And then you've got the Patriots, who have been so quiet. It's scary. And the last time the Sith went this quiet, they created an army and started the Attack of the Clones. So, like, we all know that didn't end well. So I'm a bit like, I was confident up till probably about an hour ago. And I'm starting to kind of go, you know what? This season for me isn't about Jets wins. Because I'll take defeats if they come. I just don't want us to lose any. If we're playing a team that we're in with a shot and we blow it on ourselves, I'm going to be heartbroken. But if we get beat by a better team, we're in probably year 2, like Anthony said with the Lions, year 2 or 3 of a rebuild, where we are a super young team. We are going to be running, like most of our rookies are probably going to start. And then we're still playing on the other half of the team are all second years. So we have got some key pieces back that we lost last year, but I'm still not, I'm not saying it's playoffs or bust like a lot of people. I think if Zach misses 4 games, comes back and has a fair season, a good season, he'll get another year. Everybody's saying if he doesn't put 4,000 yards and like 50 touchdowns, he's gone, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. You can't give up on a young QB 2 years in. But I also know he's not the saviour this year.
I do like your sort of take on your season upcoming. Like, it's clearly like it's a performance year, isn't it?
Yeah,
you just want the performance. The results don't matter because the chances are you're going to finish bottom of the division. It's all about performance. It's all about results. Don't matter. It's all about performance. I think I picked the Jets to be my my sort of surprise package of the season, and that's not to say that they're going to go and have a run at making the playoffs, because I don't think they will. I just think they're going to surprise some people and be a lot better than people expect. But I also picked that before Joe Flacco was going to be leading you out for a bit.
Yeah, and see, the thing is as well, Joe Flacco doesn't get the respect he deserves. I mean, he's still a good quarterback. I mean, we've kind of went through. We've stuck up for. Well, we didn't really stick up for Matty Ice. We stuck up for Carson Wentz. We stuck up for Jared Goff. You've got to put Flacco in that same thing of he can do the job. He's not going to set the world on fire, he can go out and he can win games because let's face it, he's a Super Bowl MVP. He has proven he can do that. We're in a better position this year to help him do that because last year he didn't have an O-line. This year he's got a line that's got an O in it, so it's closer. I still don't think it's set, but yeah, it's a funny one because we seem to give credit to players that don't deserve it or haven't quite earned it to the level, and then we tear down people who've done it in the past because they're still doing it later on. But then everybody gets behind the fact that Tom Brady's a good QB. But he's had bad seasons. I mean, he still wins because he cheats, but we won't get into that.
He just knows how to win.
Well, that's it. And like, he knows his limitations. And I think that's what we don't have with rookie QBs. Like, he's not going to go out there and be like, go long because I'm going to throw you this long ball because he knows he can't. So he's like, you know what? Play that route. I will put it on your numbers. All you have to do is catch it. I mean, have you seen the video that the Dolphins put out with Tua and I think it was the Real Madrid team where they had loads of targets and he missed 2 within 15 yards. And then they were all hyping up because he threw one like 50 yards, but it hit the guy in the ankles. And you're like,
he's got good range to her, but it doesn't matter if it's 40 yards to the left of the player you're aiming at. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I think Miami are going to absolutely blow it this year. I don't think they've got a hope in hell because I just haven't seen enough from Tua with the accuracy. I think he's if he can nail it in, if he can nail in his accuracy, he could be a great quarterback. But so far, from what we've seen, 1 in 15 deep balls is nowhere near good enough.
Yeah, I would take Miami having a mare of a season, and because then they would lose the first pick.
Playing in the SEC where they throw the ball deep a lot, you think that hurt Tua?
I mean, I don't really know enough about college ball to
technically. I'd look at it and go, he didn't play that last season, and half of the other. So he came into it relatively. He balled out that first year, which is why everyone was tanking for Tua. Then he lost his hip, and then he came back, and he's not really proven it yet. But there is, I mean, his ceiling's still there. I mean, he's at the end of the day, he was drafted to the NFL in the first round. They look at it a lot more than what we do. Let's face it, we watch maybe 1 game a week of him, maybe a couple of practice throws. They're with him 24/7. They see it. They've evaluated him. They know his knowledge. They talk to him. He's showing something. But I would be quite happy if Miami trumped this season, because that obviously gives the Jets more of a chance to get out of the bottom and move up. And the best that Jets could hope for is that to happen and us get second, which we wouldn't get the playoffs because the Colts would probably take that position off us like they've done in the past.
Gotcha.
I think that's what it goes down to back when the Colts were in our division and we lost out on so many wild cards because of like last minute games against them.
So are any of you coming over to a game, or any of you going to the 3 games in London? I know they're all not in London, but
they are all in London. The 3 games in the UK are all in London. I'm going to the Vikings.
That one stadium was in.
Yeah. No, I'm going to the Vikings Saints game, and hopefully it's because I'm going to get tickets through work. So there might be nice fancy boxes where I don't have to pay for food and drink, so it could get messy. I really, really, really desperately wanted to go to the Berlin game, but then the teams were announced, and I was like, never mind, not Berlin. Oh, is it? No, it isn't, is it?
Germany game. Where are you talking about the Germany game?
Munich.
Yeah,
Munich. Yeah, where they kind of gave away a great home game to one of those 2 teams.
Yeah, but that's the reason of the 17th game.
Yeah,
because every team have to give up a home game in within an 8-year period. So the extra home game is so they get paid at least 7 times, or I think it was 4 times, won't it? So then they're not losing a game; they're gaining 3.
Yeah, I've also seen the Jags way too many times.
Yeah,
including Indy's only trip over here where we lost to the Jags. So I just can't bring myself to go and see that absolute dumpster of a franchise anymore. Like just bin them off.
Yeah, I'm going to the 3 UK games, and then I'm flying out to MetLife on Thanksgiving to go to the Bears game. Where I picked the Bears game because I figured we've got a better likeliness of beating them than we do the Bills or the Patriots the weeks before.
Absolutely. There's been some hot takes from UC so far. So I feel like I need to drop one of my own. The Bears will have the number 1 pick next season.
Oh, that makes me.
That's not a hot take. That's not a hot take. That's a fact.
But then, do they take Bryce from Alabama? That's the big question.
No, because they're still going to be all in on Fields, so they're going to go somewhere else. So maybe the Lions can take him with the 2nd overall.
Hey, I'm just starting to like you, Nate. I'm wondering if Lamar doesn't sign his deal with the Ravens, the Bears have like 110 odd million in free agency next year. Will they make a run at Lamar? Dump Fields.
I mean,
like
somebody's got to be prepping.
Yeah, you'd have thought so, wouldn't you?
I think they will.
Because the rumors are Lamar's his own agent. He doesn't have a business agent. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know enough about it, but I figured he would have been signed by now.
Well,
unless the Ravens are seeing something they don't like about him.
Well, apparently it's down to guaranteed money, and he's not happy with it.
He wants it all guaranteed, doesn't he, like Watson?
Yeah,
he wants every penny guaranteed, and that's a lot of money for someone who's not really done out in the postseason yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my next thing. He hasn't really shown much in the postseason. But then again, Dak got paid too.
He has to get there first, though, didn't he? Like, how often did the Ravens actually make the postseason? Not that often.
There's no excuse for them not to this year. So if they don't do it this year, then Summit's gone, but they'll not pay him.
Yeah, I mean the Browns and the Steelers are fighting out for the best pick, aren't they? Let's be fair.
I mean the Browns are just self-destructing, aren't they?
It's incredible. It's such a weird turn of events in Cleveland, isn't it? Because like when I first started getting into the NFL about just over a decade ago, they were really like the whipping boys of the league. They were just a joke. No one, it's not like Detroit who have been the whipping boys, but everyone seems to like them. Like no one liked the Browns, and they got dumped on constantly. Then in the last few years, they've had a good run at making something of the franchise. I know a lot of people that sort of softened up on them, like myself included. I was like, actually, they're all right. And then this off season, they seem to have gone. Do you know what we could do? We could sign Baker and go for it. We could draft a quarterback, or we could sign this guy who is an absolute scumbag, piss off the entire league and at least 50% of our fan base in one shot, and end up back down the bottom of the league again. It's incredible. What the decision making there? Like honestly, they need to be locked up. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's like they're almost doing something to get action taken against them.
Yeah,
I feel like Baker got so hard done to. First quarterback to get them to the playoffs in forever. Plays all last year injured, and they're like, "Yeah. See you, buddy. Off you go."
I mean, look. He's not the answer, right? Like,
I don't think so. But
he's a Jared Goff. Like, you might get to the playoffs with him, but it's not going to be because of him. It's almost going to be in spite of him.
Yeah, it's how you treat your players, though. They've treated him with a disdain. At least what the Lions are doing with Goff, they're giving him the second year, because to have just given him 1 year last year would have been wrong, given the scale of the hole we were in and the lack of weapons he had. But they're giving him a fair shot. Exactly. They're giving him a fair shot this year, and they said, look, you got the weapons, you got the offensive line, go out there and do it. Our offense will win us games if it does. If you can't do it this year, that's on you. But then Goff has no complaints, whereas with Mayfield, he just got tossed to the side and treated like garbage. There's a way you treat your players. Players see it around the league.
Yeah.
You know what I feel for at the Browns? Myles Garrett. I mean, he has so much potential.
Such a waste, isn't it?
And like he's in a team that are never going to live up to what he could do. I mean, could
What
you
is
imagine
he,
him at
4
like
sacks away from the Browns record, franchise record? I think I saw.
I would doubt that any Steelers fans have sympathy for Garrett.
But I don't think they wouldn't. I bet you they wouldn't mind him on their team.
Oh no,
I mean,
they've got enough weapons on that front seven anyhow.
Yeah. I mean, the rumors are that Zach's first game back could be against Pittsburgh. I was like, just want to keep him out another week so he doesn't have to play that rush. Like,
It's not a bad idea. When's your bye week?
Who, the Steelers or Browns?
Week 10, I think.
No, the Jets.
Week 10. It's
Oh.
too far in.
Yeah. Bring him back week 8. Give him a couple of games, and he gets a week just to bring it back again, and then you've got what 8 weeks, 7 weeks to go. All. I think that's a great idea. Frankly, miss the Steelers game. Don't get beat up.
4 or 5, and I'm okay with that. And I would just rather him not come into Pittsburgh because essentially we're playing the whole AFC North for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Well,
So
do you guys feel that the NFL purposely let it go 11 games so the comeback game was in Texas?
100%. There's not a chance that they looked at it and gone, yeah, let's pick an odd number of games. Just say, by chance he's going to play against Houston on his return game from suspension. It's the most corrupt shit. It's so bad. It's so bad. The league, honestly.
I mean, especially when you look at week 1, you've got Baker back at Browns. You got Flacco back at Ravens.
Got Wilson and Locke.
Wilson at Seattle.
Now you have Lamar versus his former team too, right? I mean, Flacco against his former team.
So, like, they are playing it. I mean, Baltimore week 1 for us, but like, I said I could see it happening because, like one of my mates is a Baltimore fan, and we always said that when they play, we'll go over. I was like, I'm not doing week 1. Week 1's just anarchy, but it's the anniversary of 9/11 as well at MetLife, but it's going to be a pretty intense game anyway. So yeah, there's a lot on this game. I feel like week 1 will change a lot of people's opinions on where they see people finishing. Like if you're doing a league like predictions with anybody, get their league predictions now, and then go back to them next Tuesday and ask them. And I guarantee a few teams will change because there's going to be some shocks and some upturns this week.
Yeah, it's a big one for us. Obviously, we have the Eagles first up, and they embarrassed us last year. I'm not going to put it lightly. It was a very injured team. I'm not going to say, and we weren't playing well at the time, but you know, everyone's hyping them up this year, and that's something I don't get because all their fans were ready to trade away Jalen Hurts at the draft. They were ready to get a new quarterback. They were done with him. Now he's the best thing since sliced bread. He's going to absolutely wreck us. The Eagles are going to win the NFC East. They're going to, you know, I've seen some people say they might be the 1 seed, like genuinely saying they might be the 1 seed. And I'm just like, hang on a minute. You know, they're like us. So if Hurts plays bad, that offense is terrible. Now, I get the defense is good, but if you can stop him from playing, he is awful. So I do not get the hype behind them, and they think they're going to steamroll us. Week 1. They think they're going to shut us out. They think they're that good. But
that's a bit of a stretch, the shutout. But they have to play. Remember, they've got to play the Giants and the Commanders twice.
That's it. They're in a rubbish league.
That's 3 wins. That's 3 wins minimum there.
They are in a
probably 4. They'll split with Dallas, So you're probably talking out of those 6 divisional games. 6 divisional games. You've probably got 4 or 5 wins, right? And then they've got to play. the Jaguars, and the Texans. So the floor on that's 5 wins. The ceiling on that is 7, maybe 8, They could. Then they've got to play. Obviously, the Titans and the Colts and Dallas are going to. They're going to be the tougher games out of those sort of 2 divisions to play. But you're already very close to a 500 records. You know, they've got their strength of schedule is why people are saying they could. They're I think they're a dark horse for a NFC number 1. I don't think they're going to do it, but they're absolutely going to be right up there. They're going to smash that division. Dallas won't be within 3 wins of them.
Oh no, I fully agree. But I think that's why they're getting too overhyped. I think they're getting. It's like last year. They got into the postseason in spite of the, because they're in the worst division in football at the minute. Really, competitively,
Second.
I think it's maybe second. I still think it's an awful division, but
we're finally getting into a soccer talk.
The AFC South is so bad. The Jags and Jags and the Texans are like they're going to be fighting out for the number 1 pick. Pick is a joke.
But this all talk about them saying, right, they're in the playoffs, and it's like, yeah, but you've got to take into account where they're going. You've just listed the schedule there. It's not great, and they're in a bad division. So everyone thinks they're going to wipe us. I don't think so. I think this is going to be more competitive than people give it credit for. If we can hang with these, because I've done I've done my season predictions for us this year, but a lot of it hinges on week 1. And if we can stay competitive against these, then when we're playing all these teams who are around us who are not as good, then I know that we can go out and win those games.
I think as well, like something goes for them, particularly with the talk of them potentially being the number 1 seed, is the NFC's pretty weak. Yeah, it's pretty weak, isn't it? Like you've got a couple of really good standout teams, maybe 3 or 4, and the rest are dreadful. It's not like you've probably got 6 different tiers of like level and like quality in the AFC South, where you could sort of you'd be really hard done by putting in the likes of the Jets with the Chargers, for instance. They could potentially finish in the same position in their divisions.
And then that destroys our strength of schedule next year.
yeah. But the AFC West, I'd put all 4 of those teams in the top 10 of the AFC in strength. I think maybe no, they've got to be top 10. It's a much stronger conference. So I think that's why you get the talk of like the likes of Philly going in for the NFC number 1 seed, just because there's no one else.
So real quick, while we're on this whole topic, I just wanted to get this out off my chest because I think it's funny as we're talking about how much Philly fans got on Jalen Hurts and everything else. Well, what about all the Washington fans that used to just criticize Carson Wentz?
Have you seen the state of the Commanders subreddit?
No.
Oh, but so it's so funny. The fan base is split like right down the middle. You either hate everything about him and you're never going to go and see the Commanders again while he's a player, or you're like, he is great. He's in a great situation here. We're going all the way. There is no in between. That fan base, that roster, that team, what a dumpster. Honestly, absolutely shocking.
Just talking about quarterbacks, I just want to say thank you to the Steelers for taking Mitch out of the NFC. Every team has that one really awful quarterback who just seems to be a world-class player against you every single game he plays. That was Mitch against us. Oh, I'm so glad he's gone.
I have faith that Trubisky is going to be okay for Pitt.
Well, Deontay Johnson might be out for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His shoulder, he says he's on the right path. So no one really knows what this means right now. That shoulder injury, it appears to be a little bit worse than what was stated during the game. After the game, they said the other day that he's trending in the right path. That's all I got. So who knows what that really means?
at the moment, does anybody believe anything that an NFL doctor says?
Nope.
No,
I mean,
half our team's on the injured list every week, so we've learned to not trust them anymore.
Well, Jets fans were going crazy yesterday because the first official injury report came out, and Dwayne Brown's on limited practice. It's like, dude, he's 37-year-old. Like, that guy doesn't need to practice every day. He's old. He's gonna miss practices. We know that. We've seen that with old players before. Like, just calm down. But I just love the way
no
that.
idea what my dog was barking at there. That was my dog going nuts. I looked out the window too to see.
We had about 12 guys on our injury report yesterday. I'm just like, I'm done. I'm so done.
We've got
injuries.
3 on IR already.
Yeah, we've got, I think, what was it? Over the Cap released something yesterday about how much money people have sat on IR at the minute. And once again, like last year, we're top of the list. We got like 31 million on IR already. And we're paying like, I think it's like 6 or 7 extra players at the minute because we've got people on PUP, we've got people on IR. There were just so many bad injuries last season that people have not recovered from yet. And it's just, we're done. We've already lost one of our offensive line this week. In fact, we've lost 3 of them this week alone to injury.
Already?
Yeah.
Wow.
We lost our right guard. We lost our backup right guard. And then Ragnar's injured again. Our center. Hopefully he's fit for Sunday. But 3 in a week, and it's just like, I'm done with injuries by this point.
I'm talking of injuries. I thought, I wonder how bad the Colts list is. 2 players, one I'm not familiar with, so that shows you how significant that is. He's probably a practice squad guy, and the other one is Shaquille Leonard, who it was suggested that he might be out until week 4, but he played. He took part in full practice, so it looks like there's 1 player really.
Yeah, we saw the Eagles one. It was like 4, and I'm just like, for God's sake,
Yeah.
it's just not fair. We're a fully fit team, then you're talking something. But
you've probably got the depth to handle it a little bit. Where the Eagles, their depth is awful. I mean, we came back from like 20 points down. I know it was preseason, but that's their depth. Like the players that they had were awful. Like guys that aren't even in the league now were tearing them up. So you've got to kind of think like you've got the depth to be able to bring players in. They don't have to. So all it takes is you to keep them on the field a little bit. They do a rotation out, you score. I mean, if only football was that easier.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a proper. The Eagles Lions game this week is going to be a proper trench battle. You've got 2 top 5 O lines. You've got 2 very good defensive lines. That's where it's going to be won. It's just like pray they're all healthy by the time it's over. One of those games where at least one of them is going to get hurt. And just know injury luck was rotten last year. We lost guys to season-ending injuries weeks 1, 2, and 4. Like some of our best players as well. Just can't afford that again.
Yeah, I mean, I've just looked there. The Falcons have got like nearly 65 million of dead money this year.
We had that problem last year. What was it? Between dead money and IR, at its worst, it was 102 million that we were missing last year, which is why when people were sort of dunking on us a bit, we're like, hang on, we're beating playoff teams here and we've got about like 90 million in budget on the field. That's it. We had 5 undrafted free agents playing for us. A lot of rookies, very few veterans. And it was awful. But I think sometimes you just have to take those years where you cut all your bad contracts and it helps you going forward. That's what we did last year. We just cut so many toxic deals that Bob Quinn created. And,
I mean, you're sitting on the pain. You're sitting on the 12 million, aren't you, from Trey Flowers this year, which is your big. Yeah. That's half of your dead cap, which you can forgive that because it's getting rid of.
There's him and Collins. Him and Jamie Collins are worth 18 million to us in dead this year. But it was like 60 last year. And next year, it will be about the same. But most of the toxic deals are gone now. That's one big thing in your rebuild. You just got to wait to get your money back so you can reinvest it. Just sometimes it takes time.
I mean, the Jets' dead money is 5 million. but it's on 15 players. And it's all rookies that we've drafted and they've gone before, like, we've cut them. So it's easy money. Like,
yeah, the Colts are in a similarly comfortable position with dead cap, 7 million, which is nice to see, because the Commanders took Wentz's entire contract.
I love how we talk about like that's nothing, 7 mil.
I know, it's crazy. It's disgusting, isn't it? Absolutely vile.
Yeah, I mean, I would take like the lowest dead cap money as a salary and just be very, very happy.
I wouldn't even take it as a salary. I'd take that as a one-time payout. Like, never give me a penny more ever again. I will take that 7 million. Thank you very much. Never hear from me again.
We're just praying that something happens to A-Rod in the next 3 years because he's worth like 90 million dead to the Packers for the next 3 years, whether he retires, leaves, or whatever. And it's like,
I mean, he's just going to
that's a lot of money on one player.
I could see him going down. It won't be as theatrical, but like I really hope he goes down in a blazer like AB, just like storms out in the middle of a game at halftime.
It would be.
I pray no one does that. There's many issues right there.
Yeah.
You can't get to him.
I mean, I get it. I like Anthony down there. He would probably love to see A-Rod do that in the middle of a game.
I mean, obviously, like with the concussion thing and CTE with AB, like his behaviour's clearly deteriorated over the years, where he's just been taking bumps to the head over and over again. Right? I know no one gets to Rodgers enough to really put that pain on him. But I mean, have you seen what he's been coming out and saying in the last year? There's something going on because he's not normal, is he?
No, but I think the Packers have suddenly realised they're like, oh, we're screwed when he leaves because they've given him all this money. He's got, like I say, he's got 3 more years of fully guaranteed money. He's 90 million to leave. That's Jordan Love's contract done. That's even his 5th year done. He's gone by then, and I think you're just not going to do well without it because with him, I'm not going to lie, no one in the NFC North can touch him. And I think the gap's going to be even bigger this year. That's just how good that team is with him. And, just ready for the day. He does. He makes average receivers all pros. He makes average tight ends all pros. He just... And that Packers team have fixed the few problems they had last year. They now have linebackers. They now have more than Kenny Clark on the interior of that defense. They're just... There's no holes there whatsoever, and they're going to absolutely.
I think they're weak. They're weak at wide receiver. I don't think they've got much going on there.
But they've got more than they had last year,
and they've probably got more than the Lions still. So
no, they don't. Give over. DJ's going to have a really good year with us. So
I'm looking forward to seeing against Rodgers. Because if anybody can beat the Green Bay line in Green Bay, it's going to be Hutchinson, a Michigan boy. He was used to cold weather. He's not going to be fazed by any of that.
Well, we've invested heavily in the defensive line for once, so it's been an Achilles heel for years getting to quarterbacks. It's why all the bog standard quarterbacks can hit us so hard because they've just got time in the pocket to pick the pass. All these guys put under pressure, they crumble. We've never done it. But this year, the edge group we've actually got is really good. The interior's better. We're just waiting for our high draft picks to come back from injury. But I think we'll have more success against them this year. But I think Green Bay are running all of us over again.
Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, they still have decent weapons in the backfield. And now they're talking about lining one of these two out on the slot, just like we talked about with Nagim, with Hines up there in the Colts. So it's not like Aaron Rodgers is going to be dead.
It's not. And they took 3 receivers out of college who were really good. I really liked all of them that they took there. So, they got Daubs, they got Watson. He's turned Alan Lazard into a good wide receiver. No other quarterback in this league, I think, gets anything out of Lazard like he did. All he needs is one of these guys to land. And with that running back room, he's got Tonyan back fit, and that offensive line just churns out all pros every year. You know, they had a third string left tackle last year who looked better than most of the left tackles in the league. So they just do something. I don't know what it is. It's witchcraft or something.
It's the cheese. It's the cheese, isn't it?
Yeah.
I really thought the Green Bay was going to get Trevelyan Burks.
Oh, I'd have been horrified if they did. Titans got him, didn't they?
I thought that for sure that was their main target. I really thought they would have traded up for him, and
Yeah, but that would have helped Rodgers too much. I mean, they can't make his life too easy.
I think they were going to go receiver, but they all just went early. You know, I say we jumped very high to get one, but you know, we fleeced the Vikings for that move. So, you know, it was. I think just a lot of teams packed and they're like, "I'm gone." They've all gone, even at 21 or whatever it was where they picked. We'll just go elsewhere.
I mean, I think the Jets, their 3 picks on day 1 and their first pick on day 2. I think we cleaned up the draft. I mean, if you're talking winning draft, like on paper, we definitely won the draft. But whether that translates is a totally other question. Because Bryce Hall, he's looked great in practice and things like that, but in the preseason games, he looked okay at best.
I really like Carter.
Can we just remember? Can we just remember that Jamar Chase stunk all the way through the summer last year, did nothing in the preseason games, and then lit the league up.
And so
no, absolutely, but Jamar Chase is special.
And Saul struggled, but he ended up being wonderful by the end of the year. So
I mean,
it takes time. They've got a 1-2 punch now, because I really like Michael Carter. I was surprised they went back
Michael Carter
so early. Yeah, he is. I've got him in a few of my fantasy leagues this year, although maybe he's going to split, but
it's split, but they're also going to play him outside as a receiver. So
Breece ain't a receiver. Breece ain't a receiver. He's a bell cow.
No, he's just going to kill somebody in some games, I think. But yeah, it's an exciting season. I mean, I'm glad it's back. I'm looking forward to tonight, and then Sunday is the big one. We're all going to go crazy.
Yeah, do you guys have like the NFL Red Zone and all that, or how do you guys watch the games real quick?
Game Pass.
Yeah, Game Pass.
So it is like the NFL Red Zone.
Yeah. So I mean, it's if the Colts are playing, I'm watching on Game Pass. If it's on TV in the UK, then it's blacked out on Game Pass. So I'll turn the VPN and watch it because I'm not watching the Sky coverage because I just can't stand Neil Reynolds. But if the Colts aren't playing, then I've got Red Zone on because it's just the best thing on television.
We don't get put in prime time, so it don't
awesome. Matter. I mean the Colts don't often. The Colts might be on 3 times on Sky if I'm unlucky.
We've got a wonderful schedule this year. It's all 1 o'clock kickoffs, so 6 o'clock here. So no late nights for us this year.
Yeah, I mean the Colts being so close to Detroit, I think we get a lot of 6 p.m. kickoffs as well. It's just wonderful.
Paul's the oddball, huh? Because he picked the farthest team on the.
Oh yeah, and they are brutal because the 49ers are in prime time a lot, and they're all really horrible kickoffs. Even when they're not on prime time, the kickoff time sucks.
Yeah, I gotta do the same thing you're doing there, Nate. I just want to get your guys. I got to go to work too. This has been fun, guys. I just want to get your final takes real quick. Any final predictions on the season? Nate, you can go first because I know you got to get back to work.
Yeah. So, I'm just going to say what I think the Colts are going to do. Top the division. They're going to be in the top 2 or 3 in the league. I don't think in the AFC. I don't think they're going to get the number 1 seed. I think ceiling's probably 12 wins, but I think 10 or 11 is where they're going to be sitting at, and then they're going to go to the championship game and blow it because that's the indie way.
Getting tripped by a shoelace
or a deflated football.
Well, Nate, thank you for stopping on.
Cheers for having me, dudes.
Hopefully we can catch up later. We can run this back like maybe halfway through the season and see where we stand.
Yeah. Absolutely. Love it. Cheers.
I mean, like I said, my mornings are open. So, I mean, we could talk every week if you guys wanted to. It don't matter to me. Just I got to be at work by 10 o'clock. Or 10:30. So, all right, real quick, Anthony, your thoughts?
My thoughts, I think, don't sleep on the Lions this season. I know it's a tale as old as time. We always come up with all this optimism and then we end up sucking, etc. But even from those of us on the grounds there, from a neutral point of view, and I have to do it because we podcast on these guys. We can't just be hopium drinkers all the time. This is a different team. You saw on the pitch towards the end of last season what it was about, the culture that was developing, the fight in them, and we have got better this offseason. We've drafted well, we've signed well, and I think you'll see this team win 7 or 8 games this season and look to take the next step forward into the postseason next year. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing where this team goes. I'm 100% behind the head coach, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to this season.
You probably wish you could play Mason Rudolph every game and get ties, right?
With due respect, I don't want to play the Steelers again for at least a decade. That draw we had last year and that preseason game we had this season are 2 of the worst games I've ever watched in my life.
They were
to the
bad.
point where I nearly wanted to turn them off. And I watched them all because we do it for the pod. It was kind of more, if I didn't have to, I wouldn't have watched them. They were absolutely atrocious. So, yeah, with due respect, hopefully we don't see each other again for a little bit of time. But yeah, don't sleep on the Lions this season. I'm looking forward to it. And as I say, while we got the Jets fan on here, I'm rooting for you guys as well because, you know, disclosure here, I really wanted Robert Saleh as our head coach. I really, 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 really wanted him here in Detroit. And I'm not upset that we got Dan Campbell instead, but I just think he's going to be a great head coach at this level. And I see all the similarities our 2 teams are doing. They're drafting well, they're spending well. They seem to finally have grasped onto the theory that these things take some time. You've got to build it from the top down, get your team going. And I like the way they're heading. So, you know, I'm rooting for you guys this year as well.
Well, just to let you know, DeAndre Swift's a big fantasy talk around here.
Yeah, and he should be as well. I think you've seen the stuff on Hard Knocks with him. I think when he came in his first year, he did well. Detroit's not had a running back in forever. Probably not all the way since Javid Best first came through and started thrilling everyone before he got injured. And I think a lot of the talk got to him a little bit and maybe inflated the ego a little bit there. And I know he's had injury issues, but you've seen the way Juice Staley coaches him. It's tough, but it's the right way for him to do it because it looks like he needs that bit of a boot up the arse type thing. And I think you're going to see a big year from him this year because it's last chance. It's only 3rd year, but they will kick him off this team if he doesn't do well this year. I can tell you that now. So I think fantasy-wise, I think he's going to have a really good year.
All right. Anth, your thoughts?
I mean, the season's just it's a long stretch. I think divisionally there'll be some surprises. I think the Jets are going to upset a few teams. We might not beat them, but I think we'll upset them. I think Michael Clements might be done for murder at some point. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's trying to press charges as it stands because he got manhandled. He's going to do that to a quarterback this year. The quarterback's going to go out. I've got feelings on that. And then, yeah, AFC are going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I can kind of go down that route. One hot take I will say is if I'm going to do a triple bet this weekend, it will be Giants, Lions, and Jets all to win.
Well, hopefully you hit that. That sounds like a good, nice pocket change for you if it hits.
Well, apparently the Jets are at 7-1 to beat the Ravens, which I think is absolutely disgusting.
We're similar. We're getting disgustingly overlooked. I would say if you want one for the season, our win prediction I think is 6.5. I would take the over on that. You look at our schedule, I would take the over on that.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for stopping on. Like I said, I do have to head out and get moving to work. It has been a fun morning here, mid-afternoon there. Hopefully, you guys are going to stay up and watch the game. Or I know it's not your team, so you probably don't care, but it is football. I think Ozzy's even singing the night before the opener.
Yeah, I think
He still got it. He still got it. He might not be able to talk, but the man can still sing.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense at all, but whatever. But sometimes, when everything's memorized, it's kind of easier.
True.
Yeah.
So, well, hey guys, thank you for stopping on. I'm going to close out my show here, and like I said, we can rejoin whenever. Just let me know. I like doing a little round table. It was fun.
No, really
Yeah,
good.
thanks for
Maybe-
having us.
And maybe you
Appreciate
guys will get to know each other too. You know, it's all fun and talk and everything else until you play each other. Then you can beat the living hell out of each other.
I don't think we play each other till like week 17 or something like that.
Yeah,
It's late in December, so we'll probably like have nothing to play for by then. So it'll be all good and fun.
yeah, it'll be playing for next year. But yeah, I'll see you later on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Really appreciate it.
All right, guys, have a good one. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on. Well, guys, that was the UK roundtable. That was fun, interesting. But I do need to skedaddle and get out of here and go to work. So thank you for tuning in this morning. I know it was early, but that's what happens. It was also 1 o'clock in the afternoon there. But anyway, thank you for tuning in, and everybody have a good day.